myself. I'm happy.
Hello, welcome to our video. I didn't know I was going to be making a video at the time, so just bear with me while there's quite a lot of photos at the beginning, but I make up for it later on. This is the door that I found at the local tip shop, and I was mainly attracted to the antique latch. Getting the chicken wire tight was a real vexing process. We realised strainer posts were essential, and Brendan used his car to get the posts vertical again. This was us fox proofing. I put a call out on the local buy and sell page and luckily scored over 60 metres straight away, all for free. But there was some feedback on my post though. People said that foxes would dig straight through this and to use welding mesh instead. But we used it anyway and we haven't had a problem since. This was from a little farm that we visited to collect some new chickens. It was so hard to find any around this time thanks to COVID panic buying, but we found some through Gumtree luckily, and we let them get settled before we moved the ones from our old coop in. To push the netting over the wire, but unfortunately it was too heavy and the posts moved again, and you can clearly see the netting sagging. In hindsight, I think thicker and more posts would have been the go, and especially some overhead bracing. Post issues, we use stainless wire rope attached to galvanised chain set in concrete footings. So the fruit trees are in, and I also chicken proofed them, but more on that later. I found a cast iron bath on our local buy and sell page, and also an old set of drawers, which was another tip shop find for $3, and that will be our chicken brooder. Here I'm just creating some garden beds, and this is just wood that we salvaged from the family farm. planted these 2 conifers a couple of years ago, so here I'm just continuing the hedge to protect the orchard from the harsh westerlies. Concrete slabs and quickset cement in the coop to avoid any mite problems. This is our old coop. Brendan made it from an old swing set that we found for free and tin that we also reclaimed from the family farm, and it only went right next door. This because I think it's funny how ridiculously long this hose is, but also to point out that having a water source is essential. Brendan will be digging a trench from the water tank to the orchard at some point. This was our first poultry auction, and we only went because I wanted some silkies, but so did everybody else. I stopped watching the bids when they went north of $50, but Brendan spotted these 2 and we won them. Oh, no, you didn't cut the little tails off. Put it back in. These are the photos that I saw on the Silver Apple Yards page, and I snapped them up very quickly because they were so cute, but my goodness, they are so messy. I made them a box fort for a separate feeding area, but it still didn't help, so I moved them just outside the back door during the day, and this dog kennel was also a tip shop find, coming in at $5. This is their first swim, if you can tell how excited they are. They actually had to come on a little holiday out to the family farm before Christmas, and it was here that I borrowed a poultry cage to take home, and they spent their nights in here. I didn't get a photo, but I did take this one at a pet shop, and I highly recommend it. It was great. We're just utilising that wind barrier to plant a passion fruit that was getting loose in the house. We hadn't had any luck with them prior because they were too exposed in the wind. The ducklings grew so rapidly, so construction of the duck house had to begin. I also wanted to point out that we have a lot of white ants on our block, and we would have liked to have used untreated materials in the orchard, but I don't think we had much choice, unfortunately. We have a yearly tradition where our friends come and stay after Christmas, so even though they were here, we still had to finish the duck house. I probably got a little bit too excited about the ducklings, and waiting until the silly season was over would probably have been a lot better. Just a little heads up, ducklings are hungry all the time, and keeping their water bowl clean is really time consuming, and they also hated being brought in and out of the house every day. I actually really dreaded it. This fence is only temporary to make the ducklings feel safe, and that entry hole is also a lot bigger now. But sadly, the little guys were jumping off the ledge, which was heartbreaking, so we had to baby proof, which raised a new issue, and they didn't want to go inside the house at all. Ah! This is our fertigation system. The bathwater gets dirty very quickly, but the fruit trees absolutely love it. Eventually we'll get a hose on the end because we've had a few dramas with it, but that's coming up in a minute. After I filmed this, I realised there could be some contamination issues. So I gave the strawberries a good soaking and didn't pick any for a few days. And now I just use it on the base of trees or vegetables where the produce is raised from the soil. I wrote about the problem on the Silver Aquayard group and somebody suggested some lighting. So I put a solar light by their door and they finally started using their house. Time has passed and we still haven't attached the netting properly. I also love how Brendan used toilet plungers on the top of the poles to stop the netting from ripping. That's great ingenuity right there. These are some of the methods I've used to keep the chooks from scratching under the trees. We collected some coffee rock from a pile up the road, which works really great. It still has the chicken wire around, but I covered the soil with spare shea cloth. I'm not sure it's the most environmentally friendly option, but I've recently started using pots with chicken manure inside and it's been acting like a slow release fertiliser. This is the fertigation problem I mentioned earlier. There was a downpour where the runoff went right through the orchard and destroyed our bucket hole. In hindsight, designing the orchard so the duck area was up the hill would have allowed gravity to feed that dirty water through the hose and onto the fruit trees. But hey, you learn from your mistakes. Hope you found this as cathartic as I did. It's been a learning process for sure. A lot of time and effort, but it was all worth it. Please leave comments or any constructive criticism below and I'll be sure to answer or address it in part 2, where I've already shot a lot of footage with new modifications. So stay tuned. See ya!